Okay. Let's start with the first one from 2 years ago. This is the first actual idea. Everything else above this is just other comments. Yeah, and we'll just go from there. We'll see how this works. Oh yeah. I briefly went over this before starting the stream here, and I'm curious to see if you guys are gonna realize this, because this is pretty cool. So the idea is the AI, a killer based on AI in horror movies. Their kit is designed around slow, thoughtful play and outthinking the survivors. So I wonder, does this sound like anything already? I find this pretty interesting. Main power, shut the doors. When within a 15-meter radius of windows and pallets, the AI can use their system to commune with the entity and block the vault. Deactivates after 3 seconds, or if the AI leaves the range, 20-second cooldown, cannot block pallet drops. Does not work if survivor has started the vaulting animation. So it's kind of like just simply blocking AoE vaults. It's not as useful as you'd think to block more than one vault. Typically, there's going to be like one vault at a particular tile, and you really only need one, at which point this is basically a Doctor Shock with a much longer cooldown. It is situationally more useful when you've got like maps with tons of connected windows like Larry's or something like that, but as an actual power itself, as like the main power, that is a little underwhelming if that's all it does, especially if it doesn't block pallets like Dr. Shock does, so secondary power, eyes everywhere. So yeah, it's just this is interesting. Using control, place the camera on a wall in front of you. When pressing control again, if in range, pick up the camera. If out of range, check the camera, gaining control of it and being able to turn it left, right, up and down. Press right click while in camera to fire a targeting dart to tag survivors while in this mode. Up to 2 survivors at once, which reveals the aura for 1 second every 10 seconds unless the survivor removes the targeting dart. Camera can be removed by survivors, in which case goes on a 1-minute cooldown until it can be placed again. Killer is stationary while camera is being checked. So this is like 75% of Singularity here, which is actually really cool that someone before Singularity even came out made the entire camera idea of Singularity on an AI-based killer. I don't know. I found that really fascinating that is literally the killer's power to a T. The only difference is they did the whole slipstream mechanic with the official DVD, and this is more just like an actual tracker. But other than the actual slipstream mechanic, this is functionally identical to how the cameras with Singularity work, which is really cool. Now he doesn't have this power, but he has this power plus slipstream. So I don't know. I just found that really fascinating. I think that's really cool that someone basically made a large portion of Singularity before that. So I don't know. I thought that was cool. So for perks, I know all. Your knowledge, wrong, your 0 out of 10. Your knowledge cannot be understood by human minds. Upon hitting a survivor, reveal the aura for 7 seconds, cooldown of 50 seconds. I feel like we just have better perks in the game than that now, like a Predator or, I feel like this is just a power crept idea. And seeing the aura for 7 seconds is pretty good exactly for like killers like Nurse, but for the most part, it's not going to be really useful on any other. It's not going to outweigh the benefits of several other aura reading perks. So, I mean, half of that is just going to be them running in a straight line away from you, and you want to have aura reading when you see them go out of line of sight. So at jungle gyms and tiles, things like that. So, it's not going to be that great. Booger, no, you're good. Hex, can't let you do that. You have a mission you must see through. If a gen gets 80% complete, increase skill check rate by 50%. Cause gen regression with these skill checks unless you hit a grade skill check, aka apply old rune. Deactivates if the gen falls under 80. Giga Chad with hyperfocus stakeout. It's like, fuck yeah, more skill checks. If a gen gets to 80%, increase skill check rate by 50%, causes gen regression with these skill checks unless you hit a grade skill check. Nah. That's actually not that great, because if you think about it, what would the meta be? The meta would be...
Scott, hope you're doing well.
Thank you, Benadryl. The meta would be to immediately hit a good skill check, causing it to regress down to 75%, which would cause the perk to deactivate. Like that, people would abuse the shit out of that and kind of counter that. So unfortunately, that would not really do much of anything. I like the idea of like having a situationally based old rune, but yeah, that would do nothing. People would just counter that in 5 seconds. It would be pretty useless. Learning algorithm. The longer you spend with these humans, the more you understand them. For every 25 seconds you spend in a chase with a survivor, they gain an invisible token. This token will reveal to you one of their perks, like an icon above their head. Survivors lose a token if they're out of chase for 30 seconds or they become hooked. That is a cool idea. I'm not sure, like, UI-wise how that would work, but that's a cool idea. Especially befitting of an AI-based killer, like learning what they have. That's pretty cool. Now, I would say most of the time, you're able to just kind of learn what they have based on seeing them. Like, if they vault real fast and then go fast after the vault, they have finesse and life. Like, you're able to tell a lot of the time, but sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you want to see if they do have a dead hard, or if they do have a deliverance, or if they do have, you know, like, off the record or something like that. Like, sometimes knowing what a perk or what a survivor has before they benefit from it can be extremely useful. Wouldn't that reward you for being shit in chase? No, because not really. I mean, you have to chase people. Just be like, because you're going to spend most of your match in a chase doesn't mean you're shit at chase. Basically, what this is doing is the longer you're chasing someone, the more... It's almost... I guess the way you're wording it is it's like a handicap. The less time, or the more time it takes you to down them, the more you learn about them. But I view it a more thematically. It's you studying them longer, so you can see what their perks are longer. That would be more along the lines of what I'm thinking. How useful would that be? Not very useful, because it just reveals one of their perks. It means you have to chase an individual survivor for almost 2 minutes to learn all 4 perks of one survivor. I think the concept is really cool. Like, fuck, I would make this a Scourge hook. I would actually prefer making this like a Scourge hook. And make it just simply be, whenever you hook a survivor on a Scourge hook, see all their perks. Or like when a survivor is on a Scourge hook, you would see basically 2D rotating billboards facing your camera angle of all their perks in a diagonal. That could be interesting. Just do it all at once. Let me see your full build. That might prevent a deliverance play, or, you know, it's something like that. I think that could be interesting. The idea of revealing this perks that a survivor has based on some condition is really neat. I like that a lot. I just think the way it's handled here is not super great. It's a cool idea, though. All right, so overall, I'm going to have 3 categories for rating. We're going to do creativity, fun, and balance. I think that's what we're going to go off of. So creativity, I mean, shit, you basically made Singularity, so I feel like I got to give you, like, a 9 for that, because you basically just made a killer that they already put in the game before they even announced it. So that's pretty cool. This will be a YouTube video? Yes, ideally, but I have to edit it. So I'd say creativity, we'll give that one a 9. For fun, just simply blocking a vault as your power is not particularly interesting. The tracker is neat, but again, not as interesting as Slipstream. So I would say for fun, that's more like a 5. It's just your average, just deny resource killer. Not particularly terrible because there's no like free zoning, but also not particularly fun. So I'd say fun there would be like a 5. So 9 creativity, 5 for fun. And for balance, I think this would be surprisingly underpowered. So I think this killer would actually be kind of weak. Like, the information is nice, but Singularity already has that on top of Slipstream, which is an incredible chase power, too. For the perks and stuff like that, I guess we should take the entire package with the perks as well, right? So, yeah, in terms of creativity, I would say that still tracks. I don't know. Do you think I should do separate ratings for the perks as well? Maybe I should do that. We can rate the killer for those 3, and then the perks for those 3. I think that's probably the best way to do it, because if they make really cool perks but a really shitty killer or vice versa, I don't want it to hurt the other one, you know? So, the last one for the killer, balance, I'd say it's kind of like a 4 or 5. Seems pretty underwhelming. So, we'll look at 954. For the perks, creativity, I really like this. This is boring. And this is kind of in the middle. This is like a 10, this is like a 6, and this is like a 3. So, we'll round it up to 18 divided by 3. So I'd say creativity, I would say overall 6 for the perks. Fun. I feel like that's just like a 4 or 5. 6, 4, and then balance, I would say 4 as well. All right. So that's how this is going to work. Just something like that. And let's scroll down. Actually, let's see if you guys posted anything first before I... how do I sort by new? Oh, that's the SCP one? What do you mean, oh? You just posted this. All right. Oh, wait. The old man is an SCP? This is licensed content. Wait, actually, is it licensed content? SCP is technically community sourced, right? I don't know how I feel about this. It's Creative Commons. All right. I'll let that one slide then. I'll let that one slide. I don't know anything about the SCP, so I'm not sure. I'm just gonna go off of this just as a pure killer idea. I don't know anything about this particular SCP, so can create a pocket dimension that allows them to pass through some solid objects and capture and torture beings inside of it. When standing next to a wall, pallet, or breakable wall, press the secondary ability button to pass through to the other side of the obstruction. Solid walls will slow the old man, but not stop him. Passing through solid walls takes 4 seconds. Thin objects represent little issue, however. See, this is already extremely complicated. How do you determine what is a thin object and what is a solid wall? What I would probably do is make it not one or the other. I would make it basically... You can walk through walls, and the speed at which you're able to do that is just simply based on the length of the object itself. But even then, that's confusing. No, you wouldn't be able to have free movement. It would have to be a button. It'd have to be a secondary button for you to walk through, like a pallet. Fundamentally, I don't think this killer could work. Just right off the cuff, I don't think coding this would be something that I trust behavior to ever do, ever. Like, I'll keep reading, but trying to do this in DBD is almost impossible. But I'll keep reading just for the creativity aspect, but I don't think this is something they could ever do. Passing through solid walls, okay, blah, blah. Any pallet or breakable wall passed through this way will begin to corrode. After 20 seconds, they will break. Any corroded pallet that is vaulted by a survivor will instantly break. It takes the old man 1.5 seconds to pass through a breakable wall or pallet. After 20 seconds. Okay, balance-wise, that's probably good. It means it'll remove the resource from you later, but you can't use it solely as anti-loot because the survivor will have 20 seconds to keep running around the same thing. And then they can still vault it. So... People thought Chucky was impossible? What the fuck is impossible about Chucky? It's just a third-person killer. It's not... Who said Chucky was impossible? They thought the concept of making him fun to play in the game would be impossible, which is true. They failed. He's fucking miserable to go against. But, I don't think anyone said that coding now would be impossible. He's pretty simple. Okay, the crossroads. The old man has the power to drag its victims into its dimension with it plans of torture and death lie before them. Pressing the active ability button will cause the old man to attempt to grab a survivor in front of him and drag them into the crossroads. On a misgrab, the old man is stunned for 3 seconds. On a successful grab, the survivor is pulled into the crossroads. What is, like, the range of this? If it's physically grabbing, then I'm guessing it's a melee attack, right? In the crossroads, the survivor stands in the middle of a small, dark, circular room with 4 shadowed doors leading out of it. That's something they could do. The doors will each be the same, except for one with slight differences. If the survivor picks the incorrect door, they will be spawned randomly in the map with the exposed status effect and their aura revealed to the killer for 20 seconds. That's interesting. So basically, it's like a mini puzzle game they have to play every time. Now, obviously, the differences would have to be... It's just a silly thing to say. Hey, thanks, Fusani. The differences would have to be different every time. Otherwise, people remember, oh, yeah, it's the one with the, the crick in the door here or whatever. But that's kind of a cool idea. I like that. I feel like it would have to be very, very subtle for it to be... I don't know. It'd have to be very, very subtle. Why wouldn't you just hit them, though? Let's see if there's anything more. If the survivor does not leave the crossroad in 30 seconds, then they will be placed randomly in the map in the dying state. Why would they ever not leave, though? That seems like a downside that will never happen, so it's whatever. Okay, so, yeah, Ratscore in chat brings up a very good point. So if this basically is a melee attack that shoves you into this dimension, that has a chance of exposing you, which would mean you would hit them and down them in one hit the next time. But why wouldn't you just hit them once instead of using this power entirely? Because then they're injured, and then you could just hit them again and have the exact same effect and not have to have the chance of random being thrown into some portion of the map that you can't even hit them with. Because insta-down, they would be... Look, if you hit them with a melee attack, they're injured and run forward for 2 seconds. If you hit them with this, they have a chance to become exposed, which means you've already hit them with a melee grab, and now you have to hit them with a melee attack again. So, what's the point? The thought process was they were removed from the match for a while. So you're trying.
I made the coolest mid-road concept, but it's licensed, so you can't read it. I don't think.
Oh, unlucky. Thank you for the 38 months, by the way, Booger. The thought process was they were removed from the match for a while. So you're basically banking it on it being kind of like a hit and run strategy. See, I don't think that'd be worth it. You're basically banking a hit and run strategy on a random chance that it works out in your favor. So not only is it detrimental in that sense, but you're also just relying on pure luck with where he ends up. And I don't think that would be very good at all. Like, standing back, this power seems absolutely useless. Making them broken until hooked to be good? Yeah, like, look, I really like the concept of teleporting a survivor into a puzzle room. That idea itself is really cool. I love that idea. It's just the actual effect you have tied to it is not worth... It's just, it would never be worth doing, like, ever. Because even if it was a hit and run type of concept, I feel like it would be better to just hit them. Hit them and run away. Now they're injured and you don't have to deal with this whole thing. Sure, I guess they could work on a generator, but also, like... Well, no. Even then, that doesn't make any sense, because you know what the meta would be? If it's a hit and run strat, if they go into there, just pick the first door. Fuck it, whatever. You're 80 meters away and you're exposed. Who cares? The meta that the good survivors would do is just not give a shit about the puzzle entirely. They would just pick the first door they found to get teleported and then be fine. So, yeah. I think the idea that you have there is really cool. It's just the way that you've worded the effects of it, it would be basically useless. But the creativity is there for sure. The creativity is awesome. Let's see what you got for the perks, though. Sweet Agony. The sounds of pain are the most beautiful to your ears. When a survivor screams, their aura is revealed to you for 4 seconds. God, in the scene partner meta, that'd be pretty funny. that would be pretty good. When the survivor screams, their aura is revealed for 4 seconds. I feel like that's slightly underpowered, but a cool idea. Oh, you hear sounds of pain 50% louder. It can hear sounds of pain through walls as if they weren't there. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Now you're talking fantasy stuff here. Now you're talking about having audio occlusion intentionally not work. They can't even get it to work. There's just no chance that would ever function. I'm sorry. You got to be realistic with these ideas, and that would never ever work. Hexadistic Soul. You live to torture and maim others. As such, you know the best ways to cause pain. Whenever a survivor is put into the dying state, all survivors within 20 meters of the down survivors to suffer from the exposed status effect for the next 16 seconds. That's a pretty powerful effect. Especially if you were to combine it with something like Forced Hesitation. That could pretty much win you the game outright. Like that... Infectious Fright, Forced Hesitation, kinda just instantly wins you the game if people are nearby. I don't think that should be a Hex perk, in my opinion. I would make that a permanent perk and maybe tone it down to like, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds or something. Or Something maybe a bit less, but I don't think that's worthy of being a hex perk. I don't think that's strong enough to be deserving of a hex perk. Hey, Black, thanks for the 19. It's a cool idea. Like, that is something we don't really have yet. And I could think of builds that would be very good with it. But as it stands right now, it's pretty... Well, I guess it depends on your killer, too. There's no cooldown, too. Yeah, but I mean, if you're downing 2 survivors in the span of 5 seconds, you're probably just straight up winning the game right there. So the cooldown is not really relevant at that point. Yep, exactly, gamer. It'd be kind of crazy on some killers. Yeah, that's what I'm currently trying to think of right now. Like, Spirit, it would be insane. Wraith, to some extent, it could be really good. Deathslinger, it would be absolutely insane. Like, there's a lot of killers that could benefit very, very heavily from that. And a lot of killers it would do nothing on. But that's kind of how perk balance is to begin with, so... It'd be horrific on Larry. Yeah, that'd be really strong on Larry. But if you think about it, you'd have to basically dedicate your entire build to it. And if survivors realize that, they can just simply play injured and skip basically your entire build, so... Houndmaster would be pretty insane too, yeah. Yeah. What I would do is make this a non-hex perk, but reduce the duration of exposed. It would be good for people that are, like, hovering for flashlight saves and hooks and things like that, or sabos. But it wouldn't be like, hey, I'm just gonna, you know... Yeah, because it's only 20 meters here. I would say that this shouldn't be a hex. I would say 20 meters, 12 seconds, and you got a pretty damn good perk. That's very good on some killers, not great on others. But I think that'd be neat. Anyway, hex the wrong choice. You know that they rely on teamwork to escape you. Punish them for it. When a survivor unhooks another survivor, those survivors not involved in the unhooking action and scream and suffer from the exposed status effect for the next 40 seconds. Oh, it's a hex as well. So basically the unhooker and the unhookee are not affected, but everybody else on the map is exposed and screams. I mean, I kind of like what this pushes you to do, because this basically pushes you to aggressively not tunnel people. And I'm all for perks that do that. I think that is... Oh my god. Yeah, tier 2 of this perk. 10-minute cooldown. Holy shit. Killers will run this perk and still tunnel. Pigs will put a trap on someone's head and still tunnel them. People will be idiots. You just gotta ignore them. Make your choice, but it's 40 seconds. Affects people whose location you don't know where they are, and it's a hex. Well, they would scream, so you'd kind of know where they were. I don't know. I think that's pretty well balanced, honestly. Like, the 40-second exposure is insane, but it also forces you to go towards people in which you don't know the exact location of. It's like Haunted Grounds on hooks. You know what I would prefer this? I would prefer this not be a hex. I prefer it to be a Scourge hook. It seems to be way more synergistic with Scourge hooks than a hex perk. I think this being a Scourge hook would be really neat. I'd maybe make it like 30 seconds. Because 30 seconds, like, exposed on everybody that's not right there is pretty good. And it would synergize with the first perk as well, yeah. That'd be neat. Jagged compass value? Yeah, exactly. Scourge hooks didn't exist when you made this? Yep, I have no doubt that, because a lot of this shit is old, so completely understandable. Yeah, this would absolutely be very cool as a Scourge hook. As for add-ons, I mean, I'm not going over add-ons for anybody. God damn it, what is this? I'll read that in a moment. Okay, overall, creativity, I love the idea of sending someone to a puzzle realm. Honestly, that's a really cool idea. Phasing through objects has been suggested before, but I just love the concept of a teleport puzzle room. So I'd say creativity for the killer is a 9. Fun. I think baiting a killer to walk through walls in certain ways might be pretty interesting on the survivor side. As killer, that could be pretty fun as well. Having to do the whole puzzle room as survivor is very different from the standard gameplay flow there, so that's pretty fun. Killer doesn't interact with that too much, though. I'd say the fun of this one is more like a 6 or 7. I don't know. I'm really digging the whole puzzle room vibe. I'll say 7 there. And then for balance, I'm going to have to do this very lowly because this is not something that would be possible in the game entirely. And it's honestly extremely underpowered right now. So I'd say balance is kind of like a 2 or a 3. Yeah, not quite there in that. For the perks, I think the creativity is probably about a 6 or 7, maybe? These are like 8s. This is like a 5. So yeah, I'll give the creativity like a 6, and balance I'd give. Honestly, just with a couple of tweaks, I'd say balance I'd give like a 7. These are all pretty decently done in my opinion. I'd say 7 for balance. It's pretty good. All right. I'm not reading this. All right, Ben, let's see what you got. No licensed character. Wait, is this a licensed character? What is this from? Do I have to Google this? I'm Googling this. God damn it. Not reading it. That's some weeb shit. Oh, you typed so much. I'm sorry. Literally the first thing I said was no licensed content. Okay. Oh, hey. You did an original one right below this. Perfect. Okay. The Viking from Ben. Tear radius 40 meters. Oh, baby. Wesker, step aside. Special ability, Ice Breath. Power Cold Front. You have the ability to use Ice Breath to hinder survivors' progress. First up, a Viking. We don't have anything like that, so good so far. Ice Breath is hinders survivors' progress. Using Ice Breath shoots out a cloudy jet of ice from your mouth that hinders the survivors, as well as fills up their chill meter. When their chill meter is filled all of the way, they suffer from the exposed status effects for 6 seconds and are hindered by 6% until the chilled status effect is gone. Survivors who are chilled can remove their chill by standing near fire pits found around the trial. There are 2 permanent fire pits that glow with a blue flame around the trial that cannot be stomped on. Survivors can create a fire pit by collecting scraps from broken pallets and lighting them, interesting, with matches found in boxes that take 2 seconds to open across the map. I'm guessing the already existing fire on certain maps would not contribute to this because that would lead to way too much map RNG. Yeah, Low Tech, just comment on this video right here. I'm reading them from new first. Yeah, balance-wise, because if you had, like, flaming barrel on Gas Heaven or something, that would be kind of stupid. Survivors can create fire pits. Okay. These fire pits can be stomped on, breaking them, taking 2.5 seconds. Additionally, the Viking can use Ice Breath to extinguish pits, but not destroy them. It's the cloudy jet of ice in your mouth that hinders survivors and fills up the chill meter. So the way I'm seeing this is it's almost like a plague vomit where it fills up your bar and then you become exposed and slowed instead of broken. Kind of the same effect, and except it would be sort of like a cone in front of you, I'm guessing. I'm guessing this wouldn't have physics. Like it wouldn't drop like plagues. It would just go straight outward, so it'd be a little different. So you wouldn't be able to arc it over stuff. So mechanically, it would be different enough from plague. Exposure 6 seconds, and they're hindered until the chilled status effect is gone. Now, you'd require direct line of sight for that, so you would build up chill over time, so it's not like you just get tagged with it and you're immediately slowed down, because that would be very stupid. Seems okay so far. Survivors who are chilled, so when you have something like this, I'll get into my thoughts later, but that can be abused by people that know to stay injured, but we'll get into that in a minute. Wind chill. For each chilled survivor, the air around the trial gets colder, both increasing the effectiveness of your ice breath and hindering progress for the survivors. You gain a tier in your power for each survivor that is chilled. Tier 0, when no survivors are chilled, nothing happens. Tier 1, when one survivor is chilled. The range of your ice breath is increased by 20%. All survivors feel a chill in the air, causing them to suffer from the status effect. Ooh, that might be too strong. You just chill one guy and everybody is now just... Well, you can remove it too. And I'm assuming it gets removed when you get hooked. If it got removed when you got hooked, then I think this would be okay. Yeah, that's fine. Because, like, I've been thinking about it. Yeah, everyone's exhausted, but you're chasing this guy. Who cares if they're exhausted? It doesn't matter. That's kind of busted unless it gets removed. Yeah, well, likely what will happen is... once they're hooked, it would be removed. So, it wouldn't really matter. But when you have ideas like that, you need to think about how people are going to play this. What if people bring Knockout and start slugging everybody? And now everyone's permanently exhausted, and there's a guy chilled on the ground, and... Like, you got to think about shit like this, where maybe if you're on the ground, your chill decreases over time. You would probably have to have an anti-slug caveat there. Because if it's incentivized based on... basically, if it's punishing people for just simply not doing their secondary objective of cleansing their chill, basically... then that's perfectly fine, and that's healthy gameplay. If survivors want to take the risk and eat the punishments for it, that's completely fine. But you don't want to have killers try to circumvent the mechanics that you have here by, like, slugging and doing shit like that. So you would have to have a caveat there that if you're on the ground, chill gets removed slowly over time. Maybe, like, over the course of 30 seconds, it would be completely gone. Otherwise, killers would just slug everybody and reap the benefits of all these chills permanently, and that would be really kind of busted. So... yeah, you got to think about shit like that. Tier 2, this occurs when 2 survivors are chilled. The effectiveness of your ice breath increased by 15%. I'm not sure what the effectiveness of your ice breath means. Does that mean it builds up 15% faster? The hinder is 15% increased, like, 6 times 1.15. The range increased by 15%. Got to be a bit more specific on that one. All survivors begin to feel a cold wind, causing all survivors who are not chilled already to slowly gain full chill over 120 seconds. Okay. So basically, you get very slow passive chill buildup. Sure, that's fine. This occurs when 3 survivors are chilled. Survivors who become fully chilled suffer from exposed 6 seconds longer. All survivors begin to shiver, making their skill checks for healing and repairs faster. Your tear radius is reduced from 40 to 28. Okay. It's faster buildup. Gotcha. Tier 4. This occurs when all 4 survivors are chilled, regardless of how many remain. Oh, when all survivors are chilled, regardless of how many remain. Your tear radius is reduced from 40 to 12. Survivors take 100% longer to remove their chill in a fire pit. I think the concept... what I would do with this too, and you might have had this idea, but like as more people are chilled, there would be like more and more of like a cold mist effect on the map. I think that'd be really neat. Especially to like, let you know that, hey, this shit's bad. And it would also synergize with this smaller tear radius if you're ignoring the heating mechanic. So it would be a constant battle between heat and cold. I think that's really, really cool. When a survivor is on their final hook state and is fully chilled, they can be killed by your own hand once in the dying state. That's fine. So it's basically just like an alternative. It's like Pyramid Head killing someone using Final Judgment if they're affected by the power. I think that's okay. Yeah, I like that. I think that's pretty neat. I think thematically that's really cool too. Perks. Tactical Warrior. Every 60 seconds you become undetectable for 15 seconds. Path of Exiles taught me I hate rotating buffs like that. It would be cool, though, trying to play around that, and that's an interesting way to do it. And it does synergize with all this stuff, too. That's all right. Whenever you break a pallet, up to 3 other drop pallets immediately break. For each additional pallet broken, you gain a 2% haste bonus for 12 seconds. This perk has a 60-second cooldown. Gain the ability to kick pallets while carrying your survivor. The survivor's wiggle meter is paused each time you break a pallet. Damn, I think this perk does way too much. I think that does way too much. That's like 3 perks. When you break a pallet, up to 3 other drop pallets also immediately break, and then you also gain 6% haste, and also you can kick pallets. Well, yeah, that's too much. If anything, yeah, I would just remove this haste. The haste is just unnecessary. We don't want to throw haste on people. And maybe implementing, yeah, exactly. Implementing a range too would be cool. Like up to, I would say like up to 2 pallets within a 24-meter radius or whatever can break. And additionally, just simply being able to kick a pallet while carrying a survivor is surprisingly good. You know how many times you get fucked over because you're trying to bring someone to basement and someone drops shock pallet and you're like, oh, I guess I just fucking die then. Like, I think that would be pretty good. So I think this idea is okay, and this is cool as a secondary effect right here. I would nerf this to maybe 2, impose a radius for it, and this would just be removed entirely. Chilling Carnage. Whenever a survivor enters the injured state, all other injured survivors within your territories become exhausted and blinded and hindered by 1% for 60 seconds. I mean, the 1% hinders, whatever. You wouldn't even notice that. Whenever survivor enters the injured state, all other injured survivors within your territories become exhausted and blind. So I'm thinking about the killer as a whole, and this one kind of has a bit of like reverse synergy with what the killer does, because the killer puts exposed on people. And so like he's kind of not gonna be. It kind of has anti-synergy with his own design, in my opinion. However, the other way you could look at it is if survivors stay injured to try to counter the strength of this power, then you would benefit from this perk. And so from that, looking at it from that side, I think that's okay. But I feel like just slapping on a bunch of status effects is, I don't know. It's kind of lazy. What are we looking at? Killer idea reviews. Community submitted ideas. Bro, I cannot hear out of my left ear whatsoever now. It's all gone. Yep, it's all over. Yeah. Okay, so overall creativity. Creativity, I would give this a solid fire. I'll give it a 10. I think this is very, very creative. I like this idea a lot. I think this is... The idea of a Viking is cool. The battle of warmth versus cold is really neat. I like this a lot. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. I think this is really cool. I'd say that's 10 for me for creativity. Fun-wise, I think, even fun-wise, this seems pretty cool. There's side objectives for survivors. They can or cannot choose to interact with the side objective, depending on whether or not they want to. It's kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I think that's pretty cool, too. Honestly, I'd probably give that like a 7 for fun. Is the background music from the game really loud? Is it? No one's complaining about it. Here, I'll lower it a bit. There we go. And then for balance, I would say the balance for the killer itself is pretty good. I would say some of the perks are absolutely on crack. So, well, that's separate. I'd say for the balance of the killer, it's a little wild here. It's a little wild here. I'd say this is like a 6 for balance. Like the perma exhaustion's kind of crazy too. Yeah, I'd say it's about a 6. So overall, pretty damn good. For the perks, I would say fun-wise, or creativity, this is cool. This is kind of not exciting. This is semi-exciting. I'd say like 5. For balance, I think this is perfectly balanced. That's fine. This is insanely overkill. That's not fine. And then this is just sort of slapped on a bunch of shit. I don't know. I'd say like 4. The way you presented it, very easily fixed. But 4 maybe. And then for fun, I would say... Yeah, this could be fun to mess around with. This could be fun to kick pallets with Survivor on your shoulder. And this one's boring. So I'd say 5 maybe. I think the killer is way, way, way better thought out than the perks, but overall, very cool. I like it, Ben. Good job, man. All right, any other people from chat? That's Licensed Bjork, you son of a bitch. Oh my god, dude, the backpack build stonks? Holy hell, that'd be amazing. Okay, the Anomaly. An unstable killer, able to reap the fabric of reality apart to confuse and separate its victims by using its power Dimensional Terror. Press and hold the power button to change reality, or to charge reality shift. This one's yours, Cap? Okay. Could I update the comment, please? You made some important tweaks. Oh, okay. Here. I'll refresh. Okay. Snuzzle Butter, thank you for the prime. Appreciate it. Thanks. Okay. Press and hold the button to charge reality shift. When charging, your movement speed is decreased. Press the active ability button in the state to open a rupture. Each opened rupture consumes 1 power token. Coming in contact with the rupture activates it and allows you to immediately appear from other ruptures on the map. This destroys the rupture that you exited from. Survivors can also interact with the ruptures, destroying them but becoming shifted in the process. Let me fully comprehend this first. Each open rupture consumes a power token. Come in contact with the rupture activates and allows you to immediately appear from other ruptures on the map. So basically, you're just putting teleportation points. Okay. Survivors can interact with the ruptures, destroying them, but becoming shifted in the process. So, sort of like demo portals, I guess, in terms of gameplay. One-use demo portals. Yeah, okay. While charging reality shift, press the attack button to charge forward, making any survivor on your way shifted or damaging if they're already shifted. Okay. Okay, gotcha. If the chaining... Wait. If the chaining charge occurs on a rupture, the anomaly is able to initiate another longer charge. Oh, so if you bounce through one of the teleporters that you put left it on the ground, basically, you'd be able to do a... You basically be able to, like, Wesker dash, like do a charge and then do, like, another charge, basically. I think I'm understanding that right. Hitting a survivor after chaining more than 2 rupture charges will immediately put them in the dying state. How many power tokens do you have? I guess is the question. I'm not seeing it listed here. Because that's pretty vital. Honestly, before we go even forward, how many how many power tokens would you have, Cap? I need this information before I can go further. I think Cap died. 5 would sound good. Yeah, I was figuring it was going to be like 4 or 5, but I just want to hear what he said. You'd have to worry about people 3-genning with this too. You guess around 7. Okay. So immediately, what I think of when I see that is people just leaving them on generators and just teleporting in between those. Now, it does destroy. It's sort of like the demo add-on that destroys it, so you'd have to reset it. But I do worry that would be kind of annoying. Yeah, survivors can destroy them too, I guess. This one is a lot more complicated to see if it's balanced or not. What if it was 7 minus however many gens are remaining? That means you would have even more in a 3-gen scenario, so that, nah. They can do a range around gens and hooks if they can't be placed. True, and they've done this before, but... Okay, how quickly would you teleport? This is important. How quickly is the actual teleport animation? Are we talking like unknown, 1 frame and you're there? Is it more like Demogorgon where you have to go through a portal animation, then you move, and then you do an exit portal animation? The speed at which you do this teleport is crucial to understanding the balance of the killer. And I'm not sure if you have that idea in your head already, or you want to kind of like spitball right here, but I feel like, well, let me keep reading before I make those kind of comments. I like this idea though, like you creating a pinball chain of these rifts basically, and then like charging through them. I feel like that's pretty situational though. Like the amount of times that you would have like 2 of these in a line. Well, I guess in theory you could have particular routing. You thought of it being almost instant, similar to unknown. Okay. If you... Sorry, I'm like... When I do these idea reviews, I try to think of how it would actually work in game as much as possible. What is the animation of placing one of these portals like? And when you place these portals, does it consume... Is it like hag traps where it recycles the oldest one? Or do you simply run out? Because I'm trying to think. This seems like this is more of a setup killer, and I'm not sure if I want to see him just mid-chase, just setting a portal on one side, setting a portal on the other, and then just Wesker Dash basically one-shotting you. I feel like that would be a less interesting thing to go against, and having it be more... I can't believe I'm saying this. Having it be more setup-heavy would be probably a better idea. But the speed at which you're able to set these would be very important as well, because if you can just shit him out, then I feel like most people would just try to get one-shots and loops like that. However, if it was the speed of, like, setting a hag trap, well, then the survivor could leave the loop. Like Freddy's snare, but you get slowed down more. Okay. That doesn't give the survivor too much time to leave, but it gives them a bit of an option. Okay. Okay. Let's see what else you got. Shifted. Survivors become shifted after destroying ruptures or getting hit by chaining charge. Shifted survivors become vulnerable to damage when destroying ruptures or from chaining charge. How do you stay shifted for a limited time, and upon ending, they scream and release energy, which makes other survivors nearby shifted? Okay, what is the duration of the unshifting? That is very important as well. Like, how long is that going to last? How do you spin an idea? Go to this link and just post it in the comments. 15, 30 seconds. I want to hear it from the author himself. What you got for me, Cap? How confident are you in your idea? I don't want to suggest a number. I want to hear it. 15 to 30 seconds. And you see the aura survivors nearby to not mess with them accidentally. So, I was thinking 30 seconds. I think 30 seconds is a good idea. You know, we should talk about numbers, like in the end, it's the concept that matters. No, true, but sometimes the numbers completely change how the killer is going to play. Like, completely different killer. So, in certain contexts, you do have to talk about the numbers, even if we're more about the concept. The numbers are really, really vital to determining what type of killer is even being suggested. So, it does matter sometimes. Become shifted into destroying ruptures. Okay, so if you try to destroy a rupture while you were already shifted, basically that means survivors have an internal cooldown of breaking a thing one every 30 seconds. So it's not like Demo Portal where you can just break them as much as you want. You're basically on a limit. So the problem with that I have there is... Oh, for sure, Cat, for sure. I have no nose. Thank you for the 18 months. So the problem I have with that is that does kind of incentivize the 3-genning because the killer can reset his portals faster than survivors can break them. Well, I guess not if there's 4 survivors, because then you can just take turns breaking them. No, I guess that's kind of fine. Never mind. This is cool, though. While charging relative, press the attack button to charge forward, making any survivor on your way shifted or damaging you if they're already shifted. And then if you hit an anomaly, you can basically Wesker Dash. And you could probably set up a pinball chain. A lot of powers change depending on the amount of survivors. Like Chain Hunt, for example, gets weaker as there's less people. So you could do something like that. That's cool, though. Perks. Scourge Hook. Force of Repulsion. Upon hooking a survivor on a Scourge Hook, the perk activates for 30 seconds. While active, any survivors 24 meters away from you suffers from a 20% penalty to repair, healing, cleansing, and blessing actions. Staying within a 16 meter of the radius of the hook survivor for more than 15 seconds deactivates the perk. Upon hooking a survivor on a Scourge Hook, this perk activates for 30 seconds. While active, any survivors 24 meters away from you suffers from a 20% penalty to repairing, healing, cleansing, and blessing actions. It seems like you can't really proxy camp with it as well, based on the 16 meter downside. It's sort of a different way of looking at pain resonance. So while pain res is going to just simply remove it from the generator, this makes the progress on the generator slower by almost like kind of the same amount. Yeah, fixed ice. That's fine. You could tinker with the numbers a bit, but I think the concept is good. I think that's fine. Yeah, I like it. It's sort of like a slow down pain res instead of a removal pain res. After downing a survivor, containment. This furthest generator away from you becomes blocked by the entity for 20 seconds. This perk has a cooldown of 40 seconds. After downing a survivor, the furthest generator away from you becomes blocked. I assume the furthest generator with progress, right? Because if it's just blocking random shit across the map, that would be really bad. It would have to be the furthest generator that has progress on it. And even then, it wouldn't be that amazing, I guess. You could probably just remove the cooldown entirely. People would intentionally run to corners to block the wrong gen being worked on. Would they? Would your average solo queue player do that? Would they? Really? If the furthest gen's at 0, it blocks the next furthest one that has progress. Okay, that definitely makes it a lot better. Still not super great. Look, I'm okay with the concept of a perk that is a form of slowdown that is blocking the gen on down. Because this is basically Surge, except removing the 8%. It's a longer block, but it's more situationally based. So it wouldn't be very good. You'd have to tinker with the numbers a lot, but I think the concept is fine. Corrosion. Kicking a gen removes an additional 2.5% of its progress. After damaging a generator, its progress becomes unidentifiable for survivors for 60 seconds. This effect can be triggered by once every 80 seconds. It means both generator pistons and progress bar just randomly go up and down with no rhyme or reason. That's kind of cool. That's not OP. I think that's kind of interesting. I think fucking with the UI like that is interesting. Because a lot of the time you might be like, oh, this gen's about to pop. Let's just do this. We get adrenaline and we get out. But if it's activated, if this perk is activated, you'd be like, I don't know what the fuck it's at. So I have no idea. Gotta remember what it was at and judge if it's worth it. Yeah, and then you have to think about, wait, shit, did he kick it? Did he have pop? Did he have, like, you have to think about these things. I like that. I think that's cool. Does it only affect the UI? It affects the animation of the generator as well. So it could be 99% progress and appear to not even be moving. Or just be 0% and look like it's about to finish. Basically, it's just a mindfuck on the generator. I think that's cool. I think that's a very, very fun idea. Nice. Yeah, I understand, Cap. It makes sense. I get it. You don't think the devs would be able to implement this visual aspect? They could definitely do it on the UI. Maybe doing it on the actual generator itself would be more complicated. What the devs would probably do is something much more simple. They would simply, like, block out the generator. Like, make it shift to black and have no animation. Like it's... Yeah, or make it like it look like it's done or whatever. They would have a static animation for it. Okay, so the killer itself. Creativity. I mean, I like it. This is all cool shit. Some of the stuff is similar to other powers, like, you know, Demogorgon Portal, so it's not like a 10, but I'd say overall, we got kind of like a Wesker Dash-esque thing going on, so it's got some concept. It's not the most original thing ever, but it's overall really cool. I'd say that's like an 8. For fun, I would say, for the killer, this seems really fun. For the survivor, you have a chance to dodge a forward dash, which can be pretty fun. I'd say overall the fun here is probably like a 7 or 8. Balance-wise, seems pretty good balance-wise too. Honestly, I think this is just kind of like 8s across the board here. The numbers would have to be tweaked a bunch, but I think this is a really cool concept. This is just a solid B plus. Like, this is just, yeah, it's good. I would say 888 basically. For perks, force of repulsion. This is not particularly exciting, but it's still a fundamentally interesting change from like pain res, for example. So I think that's kind of cool, and I like the anti-camp aspect of it as well. So that's pretty cool. Creativity. This one's not very much of anything. This is really creative. This is like a 6 to 10. 18 divided by 3. So I would say creativity is like 7 probably. This one drags down a lot. This one's really boring, but these are overall cool. And fun. This is 10 out of 10. Again, this is not really much of anything. This is like 5. I'd say fun is like a 6 overall. And then balance, I'd say this is great. This is bad. This is great. So like 6 or 7 maybe. Overall though, really good shit, man. That was fun to read. I like that. Thank you for your suggestion. What is going on here? Okay, we're back in. Let's see if we got any new ones before I check the old ones. Are these killers in general? Yes, just killers in general. New killer, the Black Void. All right. I think we left off. No sharks. Stop it. I think this is. Yes, this would be the most recent one. Okay. The Fearmaker. It's like the Breath Maker or the Fresh Maker, except fear instead. I'm a Sharkator. We're not adding fucking Jaws to this game. Stop it. Okay. Weapon, chain sickle, blah, blah, blah. Your pure essence of darkness makes even the brave survivors fall in torment and fear of his own action. That's the power. The whole power. You just make people very scared. The end. Now, special ability, Fear Essence. Press and hold the active ability button or active power button to raise your hand and use Fear Essence. When within 6 meters of a survivor, you will automatically start infecting them with fear, taking 5 seconds to fully charge their fear meter. So you just hold their power up and run next to them, I guess. When survivors have their fear completely filled, they can be targeted by Quick Dissolution, which is triggered by aiming the power button a survivor within 6 meters, a clear line of sight on him, and pressing the attack button. Okay, while you're holding your power. Okay, so it'd be right click, left click kind of thing. Doing so, you transport behind the survivor's position, granting you the ghosted effect for 2.5 seconds, which lets you ignore vaults, drop pallets, and phase through pallets that would stun you. So this is kind of functionally just singularity. This is almost definitely just singularity. It's just in a different coat of paint. So instead of building fear, you tag them with a thingy. Instead of being able to walk through pallets and stuff like that, you're not stunned by pallets. Instead of being able to ignore vaults, you almost instantly fast vault through them. So you kind of just made singularity here, just with a different coat of paint. Like it actually it would be worse than singularity, because singularity can target his slipstream from much further away, and you have to be right next to them to get this. So, and also just having to like awkwardly stand next to them with their power being out doesn't really sound interesting. Imagine half the gameplay of this killer is him just standing next to you, just going grrr. Like, it's just, I don't know. It just seems like very weird gameplay. Special effects, fears. When survivors are feared, they are afflicted with one of the 4 random fears. Fear of technology, which makes a survivor that repairs a generator scream before interacting with one, increases the chance of getting a skill check, its rotation speed, and silences the warning for one. Okay, that's cool. Fear of blood, which makes a survivor... Oh, it's random, okay. Which makes a survivor begin a heal action scream before starting it, reduces the healing speed by 30%, increases the penalty for missing a skill check on 30%. Okay, that's cool. Fear of pursuit, which makes the survivor's aura get revealed for the first 5 seconds during a chase and inflicts them with a 5% hinder for 5 seconds after vaulting or dropping a pallet while being chased. That would probably be the strongest one. Fear of seclusion, which makes a survivor who is further than 8 meters from another survivor suffer from oblivious and blindness and reveals aura to the killer for 5 seconds. I'm assuming when you acquire the fear? If a survivor pushes through these situations for 15 seconds while affected by the corresponding fear, they will rid of the fear and be injured if healthy or deep wound if injured? So did they just get injured for nothing? For it sounds like they just get injured for nothing then. You just walk next to people and they get injured then? That doesn't seem fair. Nothing feels worse than a killer just getting a free hit on you without actually hitting you with anything. All they did is just walk next to you for 5 seconds and then you get hit with a fear. Wait, if a survivor pushes through these situations for 15 seconds... I don't understand what this means. If a survivor pushes through these situations, are you saying if they, like, hit a skill check? Or if they hit their healing skill check? Or they don't? I don't understand what this means. Holy fuck. Edit this part out of the video, but holy shit, 25 ring player. Wait, do I have the button? No, I don't have the button anymore. Here, I'll do it. 25 ring player, thank you for the 50 gift subs. Holy shit, man. Thank you so much, dude. Holy fuck. The hell was that for? You done make me do more editing. And Valorant with a 13. Valorant skimped out there, unlucky. Thank you so much, rank player. Merry Christmas? Fuck, man. You're like 362 days early. Thank you, dude. Holy shit. Thank you so fucking much, man. Everyone, if you got gifted a sub, please thank 25 ring player for being insane. Bad value from Valorant. Do it again. You gotta go for at least the 50% split, or it's just not worth. Well, thank you, dude. I will edit this part out of the video, but thank you so much, man. Seriously. Somehow Valorant is still number 1. I know, that's funny. Thanks, dude. Hey, Happy Space, thanks to raid. Okay, so still trying to fully understand this. If you push through these situations for 15 seconds, how do you, what does that mean? What does that mean, pushing through the situation? Doesn't that mean just simply having the effect and then losing the effect after 15 seconds? You get injured if you get rid of the fear. Right, but doesn't... How do you push through it? I'm not understanding what this means. What is pushing through these situations? Is this like an actual active bar that you fill up, or you have to do what fear makes you scared of, I guess? Well, what does that mean? What if no one's injured? You just you can't heal anybody. Like yeah, is it like a snap out of it type thing? But then that 15-second snap out of it would be insane. And then you get injured, so what the hell's the point? Like I am not understanding this at all. You read it as ignoring the fear and doing it anyway, extra punishment for it. How would you ignore it? How do you ignore a skill check being silent? How do you ignore 30% slower heal speed? You need to do the action in which you were penalized, i.e. you need to heal for 15 seconds to rid the fear. Oh, so if you had fear of blood, you got to heal for 15 seconds. If you have fear of technology, you do gens for 15 seconds. If you're fear of pursuit, you get chased for 15 seconds. If you're seclusion, you need to be near a survivor for 15 seconds. Okay. That's, yeah, the way you worded it is very confusing. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. So you're basically putting yourself in the options of... Not an English spell. It's okay. I get what you mean now. That still puts you in weird... It puts you in this weird scenario where... You're not really that affected. Like... I don't know. I feel like that's just such a weird trade-off. To me, thematically, conquering your fear and then just getting slapped in the face for it doesn't really make any sense to me. Yeah, it just seems like, exactly, the killer walks next to you, and now you get fucked over with one of these things, and if you conquer your fear, fuck you, you just get hit. It's just like, where's the upside? It's just all that the killer does is walk next to you, and you're just fucked. I don't know. That seems very not engaging on the survivor side at all. Honestly, it seems not engaging on the killer side either. It just seems like you just walk next to people and shit happens. That's not very exciting. When a survivor gets rid of their fear, the Fearmaker amplifies the next quick dissolution use, increasing its targeting range to 90 meters. Holy shit. That is quite the increase. To 90 meters, the duration of the ghosted effect to 8 seconds allows its ability to target survivors through walls and floors. Buh? Wait, so they get even more penalties for... So not only do they get injured for conquering their fear, now the killer can just fucking teleport through the map. This is kind of ridiculous, man. The correct counterplay would just be to never interact with whatever your fear is ever. It's a little insane, dude. Perks. Scourge Hook, Soul Devourer. At the start of the trial, 4 hooks are converted to Scourge Hooks. As long as survivors hooked to these Scourge Hooks, they grant you the undetectable status effect. This effect lingers from 1 to 5 seconds after survivors hooked or unhooked. Oh, that's interesting. So it's just situational based, undetectable when they're on the Scourge Hook. I'm fine with that. I think that's completely okay. That's an interesting way to bring up undetectable. That is fine by me. Secret Killer. You start the trial with undetectable status for 40 seconds. So, I've seen this idea before. It's sort of like a lethal pursuer, but for stealth instead. I think that would actually be extremely good. I think that would be a very useful perk. You combine that with like lethal pursuer on a Bubba, for example, and you're looking at a snowball, 20 seconds into the match. Yeah, on Bubba, that would be fucking insane. Any killer with a one-shot, it would be really good. Or Michael. Why the fuck would you put this on Michael Myers? He doesn't have a terror radius at the start. But that would be really good on certain killers with a one-shot. Even just doing like Apex Muffler Billy, that would be so fun too. I could think of a lot of really, really fun combinations with that. So I like that a lot. Happy Slaughter. When injuring a survivor by any means, you see the auras of the last survivors that healed them for 7 seconds. If the survivor healed themselves, that survivor is inflicted with broken for 60 seconds. It's kind of neat. I think it's kind of interesting. Sort of a punishment for altruism type effect. Yeah, Gabriel, good. Yeah, these are cool. I actually like these perks a lot. Okay, Killer... I would say creativity is like maybe a 4. Because this is just singularity. You just made singularity here. And then these effects are the only thing boosting it up. I like the idea of having different fears and stuff like that. But then this part is just kind of not great. If you were broken but you healed yourself? No, it would be you healed yourself in the past. Then you become broken. Creativity, I'd say, is kind of like a 4. Fun-wise, this seems like a 1. The survivor... I'm trying to think of the gameplay from the survivor perspective. Killer walks next to you holding his hand up for whatever the power is. He's just walking next to you, and now, fuck you, you're injured. Or you get a slowdown, or you just get a debuff, and then also he can fucking teleport through the map if you get rid of it. Like, it just seems there's, like, nothing fun about that at all. Probably fun for the killer, but overall, that would be very, very not fun. Balance, I'm gonna give this a 1. This is just, unfortunately, just fucking nothing about this makes sense. However, the perks, I would say, these are really cool. I would say this is probably like a 7. This is like a 7. And this is like, for creativity, this is like an 8. So I'd say creativity is like a 7 here. Fun-wise, this would be super fun. Not super fun here. Fun here. That's like a 6 there. And then for balance, I would say this is like an 8. These are all actually... Actually, honestly, for balance, I'd say this is like a 9. These are all pretty well balanced. I can't really think of any major changes to make to any of these. This is probably the only thing I don't really fully agree with, but overall, I think that's really cool. So, yeah, these were really great perk suggestions. The perks were awesome. Killer, I did not vibe with too much, unfortunately. Alrighty. Next. I'm not reading the fucking shark. Am I reading the shark? I'm not reading the shark. It's too short. Didn't even try. The pirate? We already get a pirate, sorry. All right, let's see what an actual pirate is. Old-timey pirate, very piratey theme with an eye patch and probably a peg leg. Yes! There's my stereotypical pilot or pirate. That's what I wanted. You don't care about the appearance based. Swashbuckling saber. The pirates always rely on their trusty blade. Ability, Yarg. Pirate lunges forward with their blade and screams, Yarg. Kind of like a Wesker dash, except it will injure any survivors in its path, and there is only one. It breaks drop pallets and breakable walls, as well as the gens it hits. Give it an appropriate cooldown. I don't know. So it's just Demogorgon lunge then. Oh wait, any survivors in their path. So it's like a cleaving demo lunge, basically. Isn't that just an objectively better demo lunge then? Because it also breaks generators too. That just seems like Demogorgon, but better in every way. Slashing Storm. Pirate begins to slash the blade from side to side rapidly. Kind of like Bubba Chainsaw, except it can only injure one health state per survivor, and it can hit multiple survivors. Cannot break gens, but can still break pallets and walls. It should also make the Bubba sound, so you're going... for just no apparent reason. Okay, I can't really imagine when that would be useful, except, like, for camping. Like, there's not too many scenarios where you're gonna wanna just randomly swing slide to side. Special survivor item, Rusted Blade. There's an amount of these blades that survivors can find around the map. If they hold the use button, they can enter the dueling position. While in the dueling position, they are slowed and cannot vault or drop pallets and work on gens. They exit the dueling position once the interaction key is released. If the killer's in Slashing Storm and hits a survivor in the dueling position, a duel is triggered. What the fuck? During the duel, both the killer and survivor are locked in place in the dueling animation. The survivor and killers then given a difficult storm of skill checks, like Merciless Storm, or probably with Greats as well. Whoever gets the most points, say a good skill check is 1 point, a Great is 2, and a miss is 0, wins the duel. If the survivor wins the duel, the killer is briefly stunned and the survivor is not injured. If the duel is a draw, same amount of points, the survivor is injured, but the killer is stunned. If the killer wins the duel, the survivor is instantly downed. I don't know about the lag, like 5 seconds or something. So, here's what I'm thinking. Why would you ever pick up a sword? Why would you ever interact with this at all? Why would you ever risk losing to the killer here? I get fun-wise, it'd be really funny to try to, like, beat the killer, but you gotta think, how are the optimal sweats gonna optimize the fun out of this? You have to think about that shit, because that's what people will do. So if they optimize the fun out of this, why would anyone ever pick up a sword? There's very little upside to this. Because if the killer is in Slashing Storm and they're about to hit you, like, what's the difference? You're just either going to take a damaging state or risk a damaging state and possibly even worse. I'd rather just get hit, you know? You could buy a lot of time to help a tunnel out. I guess that's true, yeah. But it would only be in Slashing Storm, right? And this is the ability where it's just a side slash. And I don't even know why you'd ever use Slashing Storm other than to basically camp somebody. I don't know. If anything, I would want the dueling blade thing to work with both of these. You can block the lunge or you can block the Slashing Storm. And then the duel would start. Make it so it takes a while to get the sword, maybe. Sort of like how you're gathering an EMP to possibly... It's like gathering an EMP to counter the Singularity's power, except you only have a chance because the killer could just outplay you. Yeah, Ghost Killer, just comment on this video right here. I'm reading them from that. Look, I really, really enjoy the idea of a duel of skill checks. I love that concept. I think that's really, really neat. I just don't think it being tied to the one item in this one, frankly, kind of useless attack, it would have to affect both of these, in my opinion. But I think that's really, really neat. I love that concept of just having a spontaneous duel with somebody. I think that's awesome. Doing it for both could possibly be better for balance. You only have like 5 minutes to make it. Sorry. It's okay, man. I'm trying to improve on it a little bit, but I think that concept is cool. Problem is, depending on people not being assholes. How so? Transport power. Pirate can summon a ghostly ship. Once captain, it moves fast and controls sort of like a Billy Chainsaw, but doesn't injure survivors, and they go right through it. You know, if this be necessary, it could be work if there's not enough mobility. I am all for giving killers mobility power, so I'd be fine with that. I think that's totally okay. No perks. What if it was like Guitar Hero, but with Wasity instead of skill checks? Like, do the Skull Merchant inputs? I fuck with pirate ships and not sharks? Yes. Correct. No perks L, true. Yeah. This is not particularly interesting. This is not particularly interesting. This shit right here I love. Sounds super fun. You would just need to incentivize survivors to actually pick up one of the swords. How about instead of a ghost ship, he's sure it's not a shark? Fine, whatever. There's your shark. Yeah, I think that the dual concept is very fun. You just need to make it worth using. Honestly, I think this whole slashing storm thing doesn't need to exist at all. Are we doing like 4 so far, Ghost? Okay, creativity for the dual part, 10 out of 10. For these, I don't know, 3 out of 10. So we'll say 6 overall, probably. For fun, this would be, again, the dual thing is fucking 10 out of 10. That sounds so fun. The dash is mostly fine. I like dash powers, so honestly fun. This sounds like a 9. This sounds super fun. Balance-wise, seems mostly okay. You'd have to really fuck around with this a lot. You'd have to really nail this, but the potential balance is probably like a 6 or 7 there, maybe. So overall, I kind of like it. I just really want to see that dual concept. That sounds fun as shit. That's all I care about. All right. The Caretaker from Waterfall. Let's see. Ooh, very tiny tear radius on a 115 killer. Caretaker has 2 forms, human form and demon form. The Caretaker will start the trial out in human form, and to get to demon form, the Caretaker must banish 5 ghosts. If there are 0 generators remaining, the Caretaker permanently be in demon form. While in demon form, the sky turns dark for both the Caretaker and the survivors. Human form, ghost. 15 seconds after the trial starts, 5 ghosts will spawn in the trial. The ghost has 6 states. Bored, playful, satisfied, happy, sad, and mad. Once in demon form, all ghosts disappear until the demon form is over 80 seconds. A ghost is banished but does not respawn once a demon form cycle happens. While bored, the ghost goes through walls and patrol generators. If the ghost spots a survivor, they will become playful. Ooh, this is complicated. While playful, the ghost will go up to the survivor before disappearing and hiding. Yeah, this seems specific. This seems like it's a licensed killer based on what I'm seeing, but I'll keep reading it. Go up to the survivor, hiding within 20 meters as a doll. The survivors have to find the ghost 3 times by finding the doll and smashing it. You have 30 seconds to find it. For every you find, you gain 10 seconds. If you find the doll at least once, they will become satisfied. If you find the doll 3 times, they'll become happy. But if they're satisfied, then they're not playful, which means the playful game won't work anymore. Unless while they're satisfied, it's still counting the playful stacks, I guess?
The Grand Horse Cunt weighs over 11 pounds.
Thank you. That's a little confusing to me. Happy. The ghost will follow survivors indefinitely, giving them a 5% increase in all actions. If the survivor becomes injured, put into deep wound, or put into the dying state by the Caretaker, then the ghost children will be banished. Sad, the ghost will have its aura revealed to the Caretaker, and if a ghost children is sad and banished, it will count as banished. This is, I'm sorry, this is too complicated. This is just way too fucking complicated. They would never add this. I feel like there's not even a point in continuing reading it because they would just simply never add this. They like to have killers that are as simple as they possibly can while meeting the criteria of what the property is. But this is too complicated, Waterfall. I'm sorry, man. This is just, it's way too much for a new player to understand. Like, yeah, you can't think about us that have 80,000 hours in the game. You got to think about Timmy that's played, 50 hours. And he's like, man, I sure love Michael Myers. This is like you need a Path of Exile dissertation to understand this. I like the idea of like a progression system of these ghosts that are like kind of haunting all the survivors. And I think that's cool. I just think you've made this way too complicated, man. I'm sorry. I will just abstain from rating this because I think the creativity behind it is really neat. But this seems like an utter nightmare to implement and understand. So, like, even past the ghost, you have more forms of shit. There's just too much. Yeah, the devs implementing this correctly, there's a 0% chance it would just simply never work. The Mutant. The Mutant has 2 powers. First one is an aggressive rush. Yes, 10 out of 10. Hold power to start aggressive rush. After holding the button, the mutant will scream and start running fast. Aggressive rush finishes when the mutant slams into an object or hits a survivor. Mutant has 2 tokens. You can use these tokens to instantly turn 90 degrees left or right. Okay, so I'm assuming you just kind of like run faster in kind of a straight line there. Skipping your killer prompt. Oh, was this you? Sorry, I just completely didn't see that. Is this yours, Mikas? Yeah, okay, sorry. My bad. We'll get to this one after. Never mind. The Witch. She's not copyrighted, that's fine. Monka stare. Weapon and power, mortar and pestle. After when the witch sees the survivor, she can lock onto them, at which point the witch will fly towards them at unrelenting speed, screaming herself hoarse the entire way. To stop the witch, the survivor must break line of sight. Well, that should be easy on every map in the game. The witch can use her weapon as she flies, but swinging her weapon, hitting obstacles, or hitting a different survivor will not stop her. The witch hitting the... Wait, so you can do, like, drive-bys? So you can, like, be doing your straight line power and just be slapping bitches as you're going fast. That sounds funny. The witch hitting survivor she's locked onto will stop... Wait. Oh, hitting survivors that she's locked onto, so you can hit other people. You can hit other people. We're not doing licensed content now. The witch hitting the survivor she's locked onto will stop her. Power goes on a cooldown. If the survivor breaks line of sight, the Baba Yaga changes to their last seen position. Oh, charges to their last seen position. Okay. So basically the power would end at the last place you saw them. After being stopped, the witch must lock into the survivor again. Okay. So the problem with that is line of sight on most maps is god-awful. Yeah, if you're on like Rotten Fields or something, that's great. You're going to have a fantastic time. Ormond, 10 out of 10. You'll be driving everywhere. But most maps just have shit everywhere. And if it relies on line of sight, it inherently is going to feel miserable to play, in my opinion. So right out the gate, I think that would be really frustrating to play. It sounds super fun, and I'm guessing the cooldown would be basically non-existent for this to be worth it. But I feel like I would be so fucking frustrated playing her. Yeah, think about like just Toba Landing. Think about just any of their modern maps. Like, oh god, it'd be so frustrating. Now, it would depend, like, so this is where talking about numbers is important. Because the numbers would really change the levels of frustration quite a bit here. Because if the cooldown is extremely short upon losing lock-on, then it wouldn't be too bad. Like, if you just, like, you know, fishtail into the last place you saw them and you're back up again in 1 second, that wouldn't feel so bad. Then you feel kind of like an RC car, just kind of, like, flying around everywhere. So you would have to have, like, a very low cooldown on this power in order for it to be not frustrating on maps that have line of sight blockers, in my opinion. If you got a map like Larry's, you would just do nothing. You would have no power at all, basically. But, I mean, that's half the killers in the game, so I guess that really wouldn't change anything. It's more of a Larry's problem than a killer problem. So, yeah, you'd have to have a very forgiving cooldown, because this is not one-shotting people. It doesn't automatically hit people. It's just, you know, rapid movement towards something. So you'd have to have that be very forgiving, because apparently that's just her only power. What does this have to do with a witch? Is this like, is it Baba Yaga lore that she points at people and screams and fucking hillbilly sprints toward them? I don't really know anything about the Baba Yaga other than it's John Wick, so I'm sure it's thematic in some way. I just don't know anything about her. Whatever it is. Yes, John Witch. If it's instant and Billy speed, it sounds like very easy hits. Yeah, but it's also not one shot, so she'd still be weaker than Billy. That goes to stream. Good. Having fun. That seems primed for tunnel outs because you can... Yeah, that is a good point, J-Dot. That is a really good point. So what I would do for that is when you are unhooked, you would have to make it so you can't lock onto that person for like 20 seconds or something. You would have to have an anti-hook lock on. Otherwise, yes, she would be way too strong at tunneling people. Because you could just fly past them and drive by everybody else as you're tunneling. Yeah, I would have a slight cooldown there. Perks, Hunger Pangs. You can't be satisfied by any one meal. You become obsessed with one survivor. When the entity is summoned to a survivor on a hook, until the survivor is rescued or dies, gain 10% movement speed bonus. The survivor's hook timer lasts an extra 30 seconds. Additionally, if the hook survivor is your obsession, block the exit gates until the obsession dies or is rescued from the hook. When the entity is summoned on to survivor on hook. So you're saying when they're on second stage, basically? So when a survivor is on second stage, until the survivor is rescued or dies, gain 10% speed, but the survivor's hook timer lasts an additional 30 seconds. That's interesting. So you're basically taking the trade-off of not guaranteeing a kill on them in a certain time frame for making your chases on everyone else much stronger. At the same time, this could force people to rescue them very early, which would incentivize you to tunnel. So that's got a little bit of a potentially unintended interaction with tunneling there. Because no one wants to... Well, I mean, I guess it's got a trade-off, doesn't it? Because you can leave them on hook longer, but then that means everyone else is going to get fucked more. I don't know. I kind of like the idea of the trade-off there. I'm just not sure in practice how that would actually go. That's one of those kind of perk designs where you'd have to, like, have a couple of weeks of the community using it to really see whether it would be way too good or way too bad or something in the middle. I'm not really sure. Okay, Throngler. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get to it. I think we have a bunch above, but we'll see, man. She's 4.6. You would be scared of giving survivors more time to do gens. Yeah, but at the same time, you'd also be moving 10% faster, which is very significant. You basically have permanent bloodlust too. So yes, all the survivors would have more time to do generators, but your chases would be much easier. So that's why I'm saying I actually kind of think that's interesting. That's a very interesting trade-off. Yes, people could gen rush more because they would know that that guy's got longer on the hook and they can just let him sit there for a while. But at the same time, your chases are going to be much faster too. So it's kind of an interesting give or take there. So, no, I think I like that. I think that's a really neat idea. Monstrous Proposition. You become obsessed with one survivor. The obsession gains a 10% bonus to all non-repair actions until they heal or rescue any other survivor. While this perk is in effect, the healer gains 10% bonus to all actions as well. Upon hooking the obsession changes to a different survivor. I'm trying to outweigh. So the killer breaks pallets 10% faster, vaults 10% faster, kicks gens 10% faster, picks up 10% faster, and hooks 10% faster. The survivor heals, vaults, recovers, and unhooks 10% faster. So basically, you're looking at... Honestly, I feel like this... I feel like this benefits killer more than it benefits a survivor, which obviously is the point. It's a killer perk. I'm trying to think. Because, yeah, like, just a 10% increase in everything is really nice quality of life, but it's not, like, super impactful. Like, think about Fire Up. Do you really ever notice Fire Up doing anything? Not really. But 10% faster vaults and, like, yeah, it's like one of those things that, like, it can kinda... Fire Up fucks up flashlight saves. Honestly, the window is so generous now, it doesn't really matter. I don't know. I feel like this is too safe. You know what I mean? I feel like this perk is just too safe. It's a cool idea, like you're trading off power given to one survivor for power for yourself. But it's... it seems too safe. Yeah, the design just seems slightly too safe for me. Yeah, when you've got, like, max stacks of Fire Up in endgame, it can fuck up survivors, but that's... You gotta have, like, all of them. Righteous Fury. You become obsessed with one survivor. After being stunned or blinded, your cooldown on your next successful attack is decreased by 20%. That survivors your obsession, and instead the cooldown on your next successful attack is decreased by 30%. I think by itself, that's fair. By itself, that is completely fair. Okay. Does anyone know exactly how Save the Best for Last works? Does it increase the speed of recovery or reduce the time taken to recover? Those are two very different things. Like 100% faster speed means it takes half as much time. I'm scared about this stacking with Save the Best for Last, that's all. Reduces time. Okay. Well, I guess this actually has negative synergy with... Because if you hit your obsession here... If you're chasing your obsession, you're going to be losing Save the Best for Last stacks, but you'd benefit more from this. And if it's not, then you benefit... It kind of makes sense, actually. The survivor loses it if they heal or unhook, so you can't repair with it, and it only gets one heal or unhook. How good is it for... Oh, you're talking about the last perk? Yeah, I don't know. Could you stack this perk with Save the Best for Last? I don't see why not. I think that's fine. I think that's okay. I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that's balanced. Okay, overall, creativity. It's basically just the power is just go fast towards something, so it's not super crazy. I'd say 5 maybe. Fun. As it stands right now, I'm gonna say probably low. Because for Survivor, the counterplay is just holding W and just getting behind line of sight. For Killer, the gameplay is hoping they don't run out of line of sight. Like, that's not particularly interesting, so I'd say kind of like 4 there. Balance-wise, I'd say probably about a 4 there too, honestly, because she would be incredibly map dependent and would be completely useless on a lot of maps. And that would be extremely frustrating. Perk-wise, I think this one is... I think that this is interesting. I'm not sure about the balance, but for creativity, I'd give this a 9. Yeah, overall, I'd say creativity for all the perks, probably like an 8. Fun, I would say... This would be really fun to use. This is not particularly exciting. I'd say fun is maybe like a 5. And balance is probably like a 7. The Mutant has 2 powers. First is Aggressive Rush. Hold down the Aggressive Rush. After holding the power button, the Mutant will scream and start running fast. Aggressive Rush finishes when the Mutant slams into an object or hits a survivor. Mutant has 2 tokens. You can use them to turn 90 degrees. Okay, so it's like a very limited blight type of thing. Secondary power, Mimicry. Hold secondary power to choose what survivor you want to turn into. Every survivor... Ah, there it is. I feel like we haven't had the imposter yet. Every survivor can only be used once. When survivor form, your speed is reduced to 4.0. You have third-person view. You have undetectable. Hold secondary power to turn into killer form. About the numbers. Rushing speed is by kill blue. That's fine. Charging power takes 1.5 seconds. That's fine. Choosing which survivor you want to turn into should be like Vecta's choosing spells. That's cool. Turning into survivors instant. Turning into killers 1.5. Rush cooldown's 12 seconds. Yeah, so good. Whenever people suggest the imposter type killer, they never give it another power. They always assume that the imposter will be plenty for the game, and then no, it always needs to be a secondary power because communications will completely counter that. So it always needs to be a cool side thing you can do, not your main thing. So really what we have to focus on is right here. It's okay, Gabooble. I'm probably just not going to read it then. So basically this is just a Billy sprint in one line. Wait, this doesn't even hit people. This doesn't even say it hits people. So basically you have a 2-token blight that doesn't hit people and undetectable. that's, I don't know. That seems like he wouldn't be very strong at all. He seems like he'd be pretty weak. Slam a survivor or hit a survivor. Yeah, I thought that meant like collide into a survivor. Oh, okay. So you mean like actually that is a damaging health. Okay. Okay, that makes it better. I thought it was just like you collide into him. Still, his power is basically just shitty blight that can occasionally go undetectable. Yeah, balance-wise, I feel like he would be pretty weak. Oh, and the rush has a 12-second cooldown, too? That's longer than Blight, yeah. So, this killer would be weak as shit, in my opinion. I think, creative-wise... Alright, creativity is unfortunately kind of like a 2, man. Pretty much everything in here has been suggested already. I think the imposter thing is the most commonly suggested DBD killer thing ever. And this is just Blight, basically. So that wouldn't really do much of anything. That was creativity. Fun. It's a forward dashing killer, so those can always be fun. The mimicry would be really fun to deal with as a survivor. So I'd say fun is probably like a 6. And then balance is like a 2 or 3. It's just basically a shitty blight that can occasionally go undetectable, unfortunately. And no perks. So yeah, this has been suggested 8 trillion times, and I've always said attach this to Legion. I think attaching that to Legion is the smart play there. It fits Legion perfectly. Their whole thing, their whole trailer was, you know, blending in with the survivors. You'd still have Legion's regular power. It would just give them a rarely used undetectable that would actually let you down people with Legion and make Legion not be dog shit. So I've always wanted to attach this to Legion. But yeah. Okay, next. Fine, I'll refresh. Hold on, I like this. The Warden or something, I don't fucking know. Alright, here. Okay. There we go. Read the Warden, you beg. You were way up there, unfortunately. Maybe we'll get there. I don't know how long I can make this video, but we'll see. The Scourge hook. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's just a T-posting Scourge hook with no animation. It just slides through the map. Modest tree turned lean, creepy plant dude because of blight. Oh, cool. Active power, crawl. There it is. This is what people wanted the Xenomorph to be able to do, crawling on walls and ceilings, and the developer said that was just something they wouldn't be able to do. So right out the gate, this is just not something they can do. So it's already implausible to actually add it. But again, I would love to see it. It's just implausible. They can do it. No, they can't. I don't think they can. I think they're physically incapable of doing it. Activate the power to gain undetectable and ability to crawl on walls. Crawling on walls and ceilings makes you 4.2. If you're posted on a wall or ceiling, you're able to charge a lunge for 1.2 seconds. Lunging will have you crash down, enter a fatigue state. Survivors hit by the lunge will be inflicted by 50% hinder for 0.7 seconds. It's random. And deep wound. Alternatively, it could just be an instant down. The Scourge cannot use their basic attack while in crawl. Alright. Passive power, Forest of Blight. When a generator is completed, drop a seed at your location that will bloom after 15 seconds and expand in a 32-meter area, turning the floor into rot that inflicts a 1% hinder on survivor. The area will also grow up to 6 trees of random height, ranging from 1 nemesis to 2 nemesis stacked on top. Thank you for the nemesis. The nemesis unit of measurement. That can be crawled onto? Oh, so you could like jump on your own trees. Okay. The trees cannot grow near doorways or close quarter areas. Additionally, windows and drop pallets within the forest will have their vault action slowed by 10%. Okay, yeah. So right off the bat, they would never do it. So we're already in Fantasyland, but this is Fantasyland. I would love it. I would love that idea. The idea that a killer is waiting for you on a ceiling because no one's prepared to look up. That would be cool, but the problem is most maps in the game do not have an up. There is no ceiling to go onto. So he doesn't do much like on most of the maps. It'd be really cool on indoor maps, and then on most other maps you would just be awkwardly sitting on the side of a TL wall, and you would just see him sitting there. Like, I don't know. Main building killer exclusively? Yeah, kinda. It looks sick though. Yeah, it looked cool as fuck, but eh. They could add roofs to loops to make it work. I mean, I guess they could do that, but I highly doubt they're going to rework the entire game for that. That's why you included the trees so they're map dependent. Yeah, I get that. I just think the coolest thing about the killer would be sitting on a ceiling and jumping down on someone. That sounds like a terrifying moment as Survivor. I also have no faith that they would code this properly. Imagine randomly generating 6 trees at your position. Yeah, that would break the game at certain points because it would happen on your current position when a gen is finished, which means the position cannot be contained. It fucking pig would get nerfed somehow. That would just something would break. So I think creatively speaking, this is really cool. It's just so unfeasible that it's just not even worth discussing as a reality. If you had some control over where you could drop it, sure, but the fact that it would apply instantly means shit would just be spawning in walls. It would be so jank. Let's check out the perks. Hex Blighted Decay. Hitting a survivor with a basic attack will inflict a 1% hinder. Really like it, 1% hinders. That will increase by 1% every 21 seconds. These are the most random numbers I've ever seen in my life, I must say. While a survivor is inflicted, a blighted flower will randomly spawn on the map and can be highlighted. The survivor can walk into it and cleanse themselves, which takes 8 seconds. I think that's fine. Balance-wise, that's okay. It's a pretty long build-up. It's sort of like ignoring Wesker Infection. You can do it to Gen Rush, but also you're taking a huge risk. Potential power. Permanently decrease your movement speed by 2%. Oof. When the exit gates are completed, increase your movement speed by 7% and decrease your basic attack cooldown by 20%. Ooh, man. That's a risky fucking perk to run, dude. That is a risky perk to run. Obviously, you'd combine that with No Ed and No Way Out and like Bloodborne and shit, but 20%, it wouldn't matter. Everyone would have it with No Ed, so the cooldown wouldn't matter. Basically hope for killer. I mean, No Ed is basically hope for killer, but 2% is not horrible. Like, you can still manage. Oh, isn't... I think he means when the exit gates are powered. Not open. Because if it was powered, this perk would be useless. I think he means, like, when all the gens are finished. I'm going to choose to interpret it like that. Dude, Giga Chad build potential power on Tier 1 Myers. With Scratch Mirror. Fuck it, bring on Nurse. Gonna people customs killer ideas? Yes, sir. Yeah, that is a very all-in strat that I would hate doing. Honestly, am I insane for thinking you can just remove the downside entirely? Just simply when the exit gates are completed, your movement speed is increased by 7%? That's it? It's just reverse hope. I don't even think it needs a downside. You're basically... The perk does nothing until the last 30 seconds of the game. I don't know. It's like, it's not that crazy. Be kind of boring? Well. I'm not saying it's super creative, but I feel like it doesn't even need the downside. MFT was 3%. That would make endgame builds more scary? I mean, whatever. I feel like endgame builds are kind of shit. You're just rolling the dice massively. I think if you get to endgame, it should be heavily in the killer's favor if he had no other perks for it. We're kind of backed up right now, Zombie, unfortunately. At least for this episode. I'm going to get back into doing this more and more, but we're kind of backed up right now, sorry. I don't know. My gut reaction is telling me that you don't actually need this downside here. I think it doesn't even need a downside. Anyway, yeah, so I have to say creative... Oh, wait, this is a 4.4 killer, too. Oh, my God. Yeah, that would fucking suck, man. That would be very unpleasant. So this I've always wanted. It's unfeasible. This is a cool way to passively give your power maps where it wouldn't work, but again, trusting behavior to code 6 trees spawning on your position, I do not trust at all. Creativity, I'd say this is like a 7. Fun-wise, this would be like a 7 or 8. Balance-wise, definitely lower. I'd say like 4 or 5. New separate category, feasibility, 0. Blighted Decay, I think this is okay. Not particularly interesting. It's just a hinder, so that's like a 4. This is not particularly interesting. Just increase. Oh shit, I didn't read this last perk. I'm stupid. Upon ending a survivor with any attack inflicting with the nullified debuff, when they come into direct line of sight and in an 8-meter radius with the survivor, they be blinded together and be unable to move out of an 8-meter radius for 30 seconds. Oh, like a literal vine slaps between them? Oh, be binded together, not blinded together. Binded together. Dude, that sounds... Okay, I can think of a nightmare scenario where, like, you have a teammate trying to body block for you, and then you just fucking immediately, like, latch onto the guy you're body blocking for, and then you're just both fucked. Yeah, no, that wouldn't work. I think that would be busted as fuck. You would never be able to body block. Ever again. You would never be able to do endgame saves. Yeah, that is basically just extremely better forced hesitation. Unfortunately, I think that is wildly overpowered. You would never be able to be near another survivor without guaranteeing that you die. It would make tunneling way worse. Yeah, this would never ever work. Creativity, I love the idea, but balance is a 0. That would never work. Yeah, so I'd say creativity for the perks is like a 7. Nah. Actually, these two are pretty non-interesting. I'd say more like a 5. This one saves it because it's very interesting. Fun-wise, these are all... Nah. Fun is like a 4, too. Balance is like 3, maybe. This is wildly broken. But thank you for the suggestion. I wish shit like that was possible. I would love a killer that just sits on walls like that. That'd be so cool. Please find yours and roast it. Where are you, Roxy? Ooh, yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get there, Roxy. Sorry. At least not today. Okay. The super. Killer has a power wheel similar to Vecna with the following abilities. Fly, heat, regenerate. All right, so we're getting basically like a Homelander type thing, right? Evil Superman. Start the match in tier 1 with the fly ability unlocked. Fly works similar to Vecna's, has a 20-second cooldown on base. So it's just better than Vecna's fly in every way. Cool. You passively gain levels over time played in the game that grant you more abilities with their own unique cooldowns. The charges required for the levels can be altered with add-ons. You just gain levels over time. I'm not sure I like that. It's just something that happens passively. Oh, no license killer? It's not. You know what? You're right. I'm not doing this. This is literally just Homelander. You just did a license concept with by calling it something else. I'm sorry. This is you just made Homelander. Skipping it. You broke the rules and were trying to swindle me. Made a silly concept for Huggy Wuggy from Poppy Play. All right, next. Why no license content though? I am interested in people's unique ideas, not things that have already kind of been made a little bit. Oh, there we go. Okay. The Phantom. Phantom's Fog. When the power bar is full, push the active ability button to become undetectable for its duration. While the power is active, the fog around the map becomes thicker for Survivor and thinner for the killer, and gain the ability to create fog clouds at targeted locations by consuming 10% of the power gauge. Okay. That could be cool. I'm not looking for reworks for already existing content, no, Psycho. At least not right now. While standing over a dying survivor, push the secondary ability button to give them a Phantom's Mark. While marked, the survivor is oblivious until they find and destroy their Phantom's glyph. Survivors see the glyph at all times, and its aura can't be hidden. Oblivious, and they can't be in. Okay. So he doesn't have. I guess this is truly just a stealth killer. Yeah, this is basically just a thematic stealth killer. Which is fine. Not every killer needs 50 abilities and stuff like that. That's okay. I think the idea of increasing creepy fog would be really cool. How long do these fog clouds last? I just think thematically that'd be really neat. And this is basically a built-in slowdown. So, okay. Here is the issue. You've basically made Pig. This is essentially just Pig. It's a stealth killer that does something to survivors that gives them a secondary objective. Except this killer is just weaker than Pig. Because Pigs must be completed. You have to remove the trap or you die. This is just you're simply oblivious, which increases your chances of dying, but doesn't guarantee that you die. You also don't have any chase ability. You have no ambush. You have no anti-loop or anything like that. So it doesn't really... He doesn't really have much of a way of downing people outside of just stealth. So you basically just made worse Pig, and Pig is already pretty bad. So creativity-wise, I would love to see a fog-based killer. They would just need to do more with it, you know? So the one you presented to me is kind of like a 5. I think it can be higher there, but fun-wise, I'm looking at like a 3 or... Probably for survivors, it'd be like more like a 5 or 6. That could be cool. Journey, you're done. And then for balance, I mean, probably like 1 or 2. You've just basically made worse Pig, unfortunately. Now the perks. Phantom's Game. Standard Scourge Hook, text. When a survivor is unhooked from a Scourge Hook, the rescuer is afflicted with the Oblivious, Blindness, and Deafness Statitis effects for 40 seconds. Oblivious, Blindness, and Deafness. Oh, Deafness from the Haganon. Can I help you? Oblivious, blind, and deaf for 40 seconds. Oh, okay, it is the rescuer. I thought it was the unhooked guy. Okay. Rescuer makes that better. Rescuer, oblivious, blind, and deaf. Yeah, it's fine. Lethal Stalker. While outside of a chase, this perk activates. While active, if the killer is undetectable, they gain 10% haste and see the auras of all survivors that are oblivious. Damn, talk about a staple Wraith perk. That's kind of a cool idea, though. I like... There are not really any perks that do this, that have a requirement of something else. You know what I mean? There are not any perks that require you to have basically another perk to enable it to work. Now, some killers have built-in undetectable, but it's very rare that behavior adds a perk like that, where it requires you to basically have another perk to make it even do anything. It's kind of busted in chase. It literally says outside of a chase. That with Plaything, it wouldn't do anything. You're not undetectable with Plaything. They're oblivious. How would you get permanent aura reading? Oh, this is a secondary effect. No, it says while active if the killer is undetectable. The perk is only active if you're undetectable. While active, if the killer is undetectable, they gain haste and see all the auras. It grammar-wise very clearly says that it only works if you're undetectable. So in that case, yeah, that's not really the type of perk that they would add. But it says while oblivious. Yeah, that's a secondary effect with the base requirement of them being undetectable. You have to be undetectable and the survivor has to be oblivious. Right. It's basically there's two different things. Well, when you're undetectable, you gain the haste. That's one condition. If they're oblivious, then you gain the aura reading as well. It activates outside of chase on top of while also having to be undetectable. Yeah, exactly. That seems too situational. I think that's too situational. That's basically like, hey, this is the Wraith perk. The way it's worded is very confusing, yeah. Fog's Gift. Each time you hook a survivor for the first time, this perk gains a token. Each token increases the thickness of the fog the survivors. At 4 tokens, the hex totem becomes blocked and all survivors are oblivious. Oh, you're talking about the base environmental fog of the map? That seems really bad. Honestly, the fog can help survivors sometimes too. So if you're any killer that's not this killer, it would be pretty shit. I think that perk is really bad. That probably would actually... that would probably hurt you as killer. I think it's only thick for the survivors. They would have to change how fog renders in the game then, I guess. Oh, I see what you're saying. It's just the... Yeah, it's worded really badly again. I see. Look, I think the concept... Look, the concept of a perk that has environmental effects that disappear when the totem is broken... Aesthetically, that seems awesome to me. Like, think about it. You have, like, this thick fog all over the map, and then once the totem breaks, it, like, clears up like you use the fucking Clear Sky shout from Skyrim. I think that'd be cool. The problem is they would have to find a way to render the fog only for the survivors. Which, again, I don't know. I'm not sure I trust them to do. If they did that, then that could be a pretty cool perk. Because that could make you have unintentional random stealth moments. But I don't trust behavior to do it, so... Yeah, the problem there is behavior. Scratch marks are only rendered for one side. True, they have the capability. Okay, overall, I'd say creativity. I like the idea of a fog. Oh, I already did that. Let's see the perks. Creativity, that's boring. That's, yeah, not great. This is cool, but bad. I'd say like 4. Fun. Boring. Fun for killer. 4. And balance. Yeah, not great. I'd say 4. My God, I'm ruthless. I'm just being honest, man. A lot of these are just not things that would work in the game, in my opinion. All right. Hi, Troy. What's up? Out of 10? Yes, out of 10. I do love the idea of a fog-based killer, though. I would love to see more with that. You just found some more original concepts. Okay. Hold on. Let me go feed Buddy. He keeps yelling at me.